Hey everybody, Sam here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, you're going to come along as I figure out and install everything you see behind me. What is this, you may ask? Well, if the title didn't give it away, this is a complete off-grid home power setup. Everything from solar input, generator input, battery bank, inverter, charge controller, AC load panel, outlets, and RV connection box. All in one. That's right, it's going to be a big video. It's going to span multiple days worth of work, but as you can tell by this smile, we get it done in the end. Without further ado, let's go. Where I want to start this whole endeavor, if I can, I want to work my way back to this wall. I need to get one of those sheets of OSB, 4x8 sheet, so that's going to be pretty fun. I want to get one of those out, and I want to go ahead and build myself a storage loft. There's a lot of stuff in this workshop that is just for storage. Things like, well, propane heaters, not really needed in June. Things like special mementos, photo albums, things that are in storage totes, that can go up there. And then just other things I'm really not going to need, I want to put up there and get out of my way. So, step one, start digging through the workshop, make my way to the wall, get the board out, and build a loft. So I have all the batteries moved over. They've been living underneath my workbench for a couple of months. I would keep the battery charger on them, make them sure they were topped off, but otherwise they've been sitting over there gathering dust. Not anymore. They are mounted here on top of this very strong, heavy-duty metal shelf. I also put 4 large stainless steel screws and fender washers through the shelf into my wall studs, so this thing is not going anywhere. It's not going to tip over, it's not going to shake, and it should hopefully also keep the middle of these shelves from sagging too bad. This is not the perfect setup for batteries such as this, for this battery bank, but it's what I have and what I'm working with. It's still going to be safe, it's going to support everything fine, but you know, if I had to pick, I would probably do something a little bit different, but don't always have that luxury. What I am going to do is move these batteries from this end of the shelf to that end, mainly because I have it anchored to this wall stud and this wall stud, and this is rock solid. Again, I don't think it's because it's going to fall over, but if we're doing something, let's do it as best we can. Thankfully, it's just as easy as sliding these things down. They move very easily one by one on this shelf, although each of the batteries individually, very heavy. Now with this one over here, I can, if I'm shaking anything, I'm shaking the wall. So, rock solid. Battery always dies at the last second, doesn't it? There we go. What I just installed is a 1/2 inch piece of plywood. That sole purpose in life is to give me a board to mount all the stuff to. I have some circuit breakers and the inverter itself, probably some other things that I can't think of or don't know of just yet, and they're all going to live up here nice and secure, properly mounted, secured, and easily moved, changed, or taken down or whatever if I ever need to. Opening the box, we are greeted with our all-in-one inverter, charger, all-in-one system. It is the Midnight Solar brand DIY series. Pull it out of the box. So what we've got here is the Midnight Solar brand DIY model. It is the MN3548 DIY all-in-one. Charge controller, inverter, solar, everything. It's here. Everything right here. It's got some nice tabs up here at the top to mount this. So let's go ahead and mount this before I drop it and break it, because, well, that's not an impossible idea with me. I'm going to focus my attention here on my breaker box. I've got several of these wire cable connectors. They're metal thimbles that allow you to pass wires through and lock them in. So I'm going to go ahead and thread them in here and there and everywhere around. So I've spent, well, honestly, a couple of days kind of working on the wiring layout of this and everything, and I've only made it as far as connecting the breaker disconnect box to the inverter, the output solar wires from the breaker box to the inverter, and at least connecting in the input from the battery bank, the wires there, although they're not connected to anything on the other end. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, but we also have a lot of other things going on. Real time, we've been working on water lines at the house and other things along that. So I'm just able to get out here and work, honestly, whenever I can, which has usually been on rainy days or late in the evening after we're done working outside. That being said, I want to go ahead and walk you through what I've got. I have all 1/0 gauge wire so far. Okay, for the battery bank, this is all 1/0 gauge copper THHN super thick stuff. It is definitely overkill for this battery bank and this inverter's capacity. I did that so that I've got some future proofing. I've got room to grow. I'm not just buying the basic minimal wiring I can for now, but then when I upgrade, have to rewire everything. The 1/0 wire is really difficult to work with. It is super thick, stiff, solid core. Okay, it's solid copper wire, but it strands. Still, heavy duty stuff. So getting it wired and fit into the breaker box was interesting. For me, the easiest thing to do was actually take the box off the wall, fish the wires into it, clamp it up, connect it, and then twist it and mount it back to the wall. That was easier than trying to curve the wires and everything. If you'll notice the gray boxes here below the inverter, that is something that is very unique. You're not going to see that probably on any other solar connection. The purpose of the gray boxes you see below the inverter is just as junction points. The wires that are connected to the inverter have some special cut down solid copper ends crimped on them. They were cut down by Langston so that they fit within the small little confined space of the inverter, so I didn't want to throw those away or try and recrimp them. The wires were not long enough to reach over to my breaker disconnect box, so coming up with the splice connectors in their own little boxes was my solution to still use the special little copper crimped ends, to use the wires that were given me, but then lengthen them in an appropriate way so that I could go on down to the breaker box. Again, that's something that's very unique to my situation and what I had and what I'm working with, so you probably won't ever see it or need it in your end, but if you do be aware that there are large gauge connectors. These aluminum blocks with 2 set screws that are made to be butt connectors or splice connectors for large gauge wires. Obviously all the panels and everything are off, so these boxes, the junction boxes, the inverter, the breaker, and the load center here, they're all going to be covered up before anything gets juiced up. My next step is to have some more fun with this 1/0 gauge wire and cut a lot of short little pieces so that I can connect them to my battery terminal clamps and connect the batteries to each other in my series connection. By themselves, each battery is 12 volts. However, I'm running a 48 volt system, or will be running a 48 volt system. So I'm going to be connecting 4 12 volt batteries in series, positive to negative, to give myself a 48 volt battery. I then will do that same thing to another set of 4, giving myself 2 48 volt batteries that I connect in parallel, positive to negative, to then juice into the inverter. In case you don't know, series is a way of stacking up voltage to raise your battery to a higher voltage, and parallel is a way of effectively doubling or increasing your capacity of that battery. When you connect in parallel, you don't increase the voltage, you increase the storage capacity. When you connect in series, you don't increase the storage capacity, but you increase the voltage. So by this sense, I'm connecting 4 in series to increase the voltage, and then 2 in parallel to increase my capacity. Hopefully that makes sense. The series parallel stuff can be pretty confusing until you just kind of get your hands into it or just really spend a lot of time figuring it out. But once you understand it, it's not that difficult. Of course, that applies to everything, doesn't it? I am just about ready to go ahead and hook this thing up and actually get the panels plugged up and everything charging. However, I need to deviate from probably what would be a normal installation because I've got to keep in mind we're currently running our camper off-grid, off of our Blue Yeti and off of our existing solar array. So before I sever that and move our solar array over and really literally disconnect things for a little while, I need to make sure I have a place set up, ready to rock and roll to plug the camper back up as soon as we have power again. What I have here is an RV outlet box. This is a metal box designed to go outdoors that when you flip the lid open, it's got your standard 30 amp plug for your camper to plug into. I'm going to go ahead and install this on the outside of my workshop, run the wires for it, and pre-wire it in anticipation and expectation to be able to hook the camper up to it as soon as we get the solar panels moved over. Well, it feels like day number 500 of this project, but I can definitely see that the end is in sight. It's close, it's at hand. I think we're almost done. What I'm currently doing is using some old or leftover mini split supply power wire. This is 14 gauge copper, and I'm putting a plug on the end of it. The purpose of this is to allow me to literally plug this system up into our gas generator, run it into the midnight solar box, and allow it to charge our batteries. That's a way to run this whole system from our generator and charge our batteries if the solar system is down or there's no sun for a while. These kinds of plug connectors are pretty handy to have, obviously for repairing cords, extension cords that may get damaged, or to make your own. They are pretty inexpensive, and places like Lowe's, Home Depot, probably Walmart, and even Harbor Freight sell these. You can get a wide variety of different plugs and make your own extension cords, which honestly will save you a lot of money instead of buying specialty cords. I won't say any cord, but specialty ones, you probably save a lot more by making it yourself. Alright, we've reached the point in this project where it is time to move our DIY wooden portable solar array stand / mount. I'm going to clean up and disconnect the wires, get everything ready, and then since we still have our miniature excavator rental, it's behind the panels, I'm just going to use the excavator that we have rented still to grab the bottom frame and drag it along over across the driveway and to the end of my workshop where it should get plenty of sun. Well, old faithful, the wooden DIY solar array mount broke. One of the 2x4s snapped, and then it started to buckle under its weight, and someone may have also tried to still just sneak along even with that broken 2x4 and just made things worse. So I'm going to take the panels off of it, see if I can stand it back upright correctly, and then go dig through my scrap wood pile, find some lumber, and fix this thing. It's going to be far easier, I hope, to fix it than trying to rebuild anything else. Alright, the solar panels are off. That was pretty easy. I had attached them with these stainless steel screws and fender washers. These have held up great. They've not gone anywhere, so that's great. So it's easy to take them off. Now I'm going to use the excavator, try and pick this front edge up where it needs to be roughly, take the weight off the legs, fold them back out, and work on patching this thing up. Alright, I have the array put in place. Good enough for now. It's not perfect. I need to reorient it to solar noon, or honestly do a little research and see if I would be better off not pointing it a little bit after solar noon, because it seems like here where we live, the more intense, bright, cloudless sunlight is more in the afternoon and evenings rather than in the morning. So I'm kind of wondering if I tilt it a little bit beyond, it'll catch some of the sunlight in the morning, so kind of hazy, not that great, but then when it gets really good and clear, from then on, it'll face it more directly. I'm not sure. Gotta do some research. Either way, these panels are all connected. I'll put back up, put into series, which means positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, to take the 4 panels and create one giant one. Same amount of amperage, I just up the voltage this way. So while the panels are ready to be juiced up, I can't do that just yet because I need to drill another hole through my workshop, put another thimble past the wires in, and wire these up to the breaker box first. Then I can come out and plug these up because I don't want to shock myself as I'm hooking them up. I purchased one of these wall thimbles made especially for solar cables, your MC4 10 gauge cables. It's basically a little dome that goes on your wall and gives you 2 waterproof pass-throughs for your cables. If you have MC4 cables, they won't go through there. But if you take apart your cable connector, leave your crimped end on there, take it apart, pass this through, then it goes on through. And it allows you to then tighten this down and it creates a watertight connection here, and when you apply sealant around this piece, seals it up and keeps all bugs, critters, and water from getting in your structure. To illustrate, it's as simple as unthreading the bottom part of your MC4 connector, pull down your little rubber grommet, and then I like to gently twist as I pull the tip off. You're left with your crimp section. Go ahead and take all of this off. You'll put this back on inside your building. Then you take your wall thimble, pass it through, and then you can crank this down once you've pulled your amount of wire through that you need to. Believe it or not, I don't know whether to believe it or not, but I think we're almost done with this project. We have our solar cables run in. Now I just need to cut the ends off, pull it into my breaker box, attach it to the breaker, and then we can turn everything on and hope that it works. It should, right? Yeah, we spent enough time and money on it, it will. Alright guys, the time has finally arrived to juice this up. Now I still have all of the panel covers off so we can see stuff, so I can explain what's what and who's who and where's going where. But without further ado, let's juice it up. What do you think? Solar array first or battery bank? Let's do the solar array. It is not in direct sunlight. It is already 7 in the afternoon, well past good solar time. But let's see what kind of juice we can get out of those PV arrays. To juice up Mr. Solar, we just take the breaker and flip it on. Yep, midnight solar inverter box here, just powered on. Looks like it's going through its setup, its startup process. It's telling me it's a fault, red light, probably because it doesn't sense any batteries. Solar array is on, but this guy not happy. Why? Because as it tells me here, it's missing a battery, so it's not happy. Let's go ahead and flip the breaker for the battery pack and make it happy. Now it's telling me my input voltage on the battery, it's ramping up. Looks like it's 50.3 volts. It is under 0 volt load, and after a second or two here, it should automatically start charging from the solar array. Yep. Green light's flashing, that means it's charging. It's got little pictures here. It shows me a little solar panel. The inverter charger box is happy now. It has PV power, solar power, coming in. It senses the battery bank, so it says yay, and it's charging the batteries right now. As you can see with the green light flashing, it's charging the batteries. The yellow or orange light that's flashing is saying that the AC inverter is on. I guess that's a default setting, or at least a default setting with the parameters that are set with this as it is. I'm sure I can change that in the menu. I've got the user manual, we can figure that out. But honestly, that's fine with me. This tells me that in the event of a power outage, as far as my battery bank, that whenever power comes back in, the solar is trickling in, it's automatically going to fire back up. That is good. Automatic restart is not a feature that many items have, and this one having it is really, really handy. So it's currently telling me the battery bank voltage is at 50.4 volts. Looks like it's about 75% charged, just going by the little picture meter. It's telling me it's putting out 120 volts, and no load on AC currents. That's because I have the main breaker on this breaker box load center turned off. Before I turn on my AC alternating current load center, aka panel, breaker box, the normal thing you're used to seeing in houses, I do want to explain, or at least answer the question of, Sam, I hear a fan in the background, I see some lights, you got power somewhere. Yes, our Blue Yeti AC 200P has been what's run our entire stuff, solar off-grid battery wise, for months and months and months. It's currently sitting here in the floor. It is now in its new home. Just know right now the Blue Yeti is powering everything, but that soon should not be the case. Alright, I'm going to very carefully flip on my main breaker here. That now juices up the panel, and then I'll flip on my two breakers. First one's going to be the outlet that I have wired up right here. Cool, nothing happened. That's good. I've unplugged the box fan from Blue Yeti. Now I'll plug it into this outlet. Ah, we have juice. That is great. Over here on the inverter, I'm able to see that I'm pulling 50 watts. So I guess that box fan is a 50-watt fan. Nice. It is showing me that. It is reading it, and it is telling me how much juice is being consumed. Awesome. Next step, let's go plug up our camper to our new camper box outside. Come in here and flip the camper's power and see if it powers it. Which I'm sure it will, but let's just enjoy it, right? This is what we've worked so hard to do. Let's just enjoy it. Alright, I'm going to talk to you from behind the camera. Turning on camper breaker. And if we look up here, 350 watts, 490, 730. You got to convert kilowatt to watt. Looks nice. Powering through the menus, I see that my solar array is only bringing in 124 watts. So yes, that's pretty bad. But look at the panels. They are not in direct sunlight. I am facing in direct sunlight with no sunglasses. So the fact that they're bringing in 123 watts is acceptable. I guess I'll let it slide. They're in the shade, and some little boys have been driving their muddy little RC cars on it too, so guess who gets to wash the panels tomorrow? Never fear though, we have a solution to combat this exact scenario. It is our generator. And it is that long black drop cord that I wired up earlier today. It will allow me to plug it up to the generator, use our remote that come with it to remotely turn it on and off as needed, and top off the batteries or run the system as we need as well. So let's go ahead and fire up the generator and plug it up, because we need to charge those batteries and we're going to need more juice than the 120 watts. Success all around. Wonderful. So it has taken, I think, 4 to 5 days, not solid 8-hour work days, but days of what you doing today? I'd like to work on the solar as long as I can. It took many trips to the hardware store, a lot of trips to the hardware store actually, but it is done. I have solar panels feeding into the inverter through all its special stuff. I have a newly rebuilt solar array after I broke it. I have the battery bank all set up over here in the corner of the workshop. They're all wired together, good and tight, right, perfectly overkill wire gauges for future expansions perhaps. I have it all going in through a breaker box for safety and easy disconnect, and then into our all-in-one charger, inverter, and then over to an AC current load center or breaker box for here in the workshop. And then on the use it side, we have a single 15 amp plug here in the workshop, and we have our RV box out there, which is a 30 amp circuit, and plenty of juice to run everything while we're still waiting to move back into our house. Alright, the next thing I want to do is cover the stuff up. I can't stand it being exposed. It is not safe. I am tired of fiddling with it. So I'm going to cover them up, close them up. If I can find it, I want to put some electrical tape over these battery wires. So I'm going to tape them up, close all these up, and I'll see you guys for the outro and completion of this long project. Guys, I can't explain how great that feels. To have it done, to have it running, and everything working. Pretty cool. Okay, beyond pretty cool, I'm just really tired to where I can't be super excited. Well, hopefully you enjoyed getting to see me trudge and fight and really get through this whole project. It took a lot longer than expected. It took a lot more materials than expected, given that probably is because of me and how I wanted to be picky, and I really didn't want to just cobble together some system. I wanted it to be something that I'm proud to show you guys. However many people view this, I want you to see it and think, huh, that looks pretty cool. I didn't want you to think, wow, that dude just threw some stuff together, gonna burn his shed down. Obviously, I'm not an electrician. I'm not an expert, and this is my first real solar off-grid inverter system. Prior to this, we had been using a Bluetti AC200P battery inverter all-in-one, and that was what we used to run off-grid. So this thing, and its many beeps and lights and things, is going to be something new to learn, to experiment with, to dial in, and really, I'm going to enjoy doing that. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I'll try and help you if I'm able. However, I want to point every one of you to who's been my go-to source for this system and anything off-grid, solar, wind, hydro related. That's Langston's Alternative Power. There's a link to their business down below. Give them a call if you're interested. They are a small business. They are a good people, and they have been helpful in helping me get this set up and everything of the sort. So, I will help you if I'm able, but if nothing else, I'll point you to the experts. Either way, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Take care, and we'll see you guys next time in the homestead, on the homestead. Alright, my next step is to have... That was a hatchet. Gosh, it's so hard to do anything over here. There's no room. That's my best bet. Whoa. Yeah. Each of these batteries by itself is 12. I'm gonna squat down real low. Sam is 3 feet tall. So yes, that's pretty bad. However, look at the panels. They are not man. This also helps me to I don't know what it helps me to do. Over here on the DIY box, I don't know what to call this thing. What do I call it? Note to self, to Sam of the future who's editing this mess, cut out all the ramblings, and let's start here with opening the box. Alright, future Sam, cut that out too. I'm sorry I'm making your life difficult. But you're used to it, aren't you? The second thing is going to be our DIY brand. It's not DIY, well, it is DIY. It's a weird name. Okay, are we ready? We're ready. Okay, editing Sam, now's when we can start. Welcome to bonus footage. Now I can get the Bluetti off the ground. It's a heavy one. I have the Bluetti up here on the shelf now. It's probably where it's going to live from now on. We'll go ahead and unplug this. This will kill the workshop and the internet, so save your files. You're about to lose your internet. There it went. And I'll plug the workshop up into the new outlet. Nice. So this guy will be on standby. I'm going to go ahead and get out its charger. This is a 500 watt AC charger. And I'll let the new solar system charge up the Blue Yeti for whenever we need it to go work on the house. This would be great for taking to the house as we work, actually. Wonderful thought, good thought. And that way it's ready to rock and roll whenever we are. Look at this mess. Stuff everywhere, conduit, wire, pipes, tools, multiple bags from the hardware store. It's over here, extra shoes, you never know when things will go real bad. More stuff, more stuff. Alexa's fussing at me because the internet went off. Ugh. There you go, guys. There is a stark, raw reality of what's been going on behind the camera the whole time this video has been going. It's a mess in here, but whatever. It's yeah, it's a mess. There's no way around it. So, back there, cleanest corner of the building. All the power, all the juiceness. It's the juice factory. That's what it is. That's the juice factory. I do like it. It is very cool just to stand over here in the dark, apparently, because camera doesn't seem. There we are. Hi, we're here. I don't know what I was saying, but very cool.